I am revising Step to Seek a World through podcasting. I hope you will follow along on this journey. I am Drashtant and this is Revise Your World podcast. Today we discuss allergy and immunology subject in pediatrics. Let's begin. Anaphylaxis is characterized by allergic symptoms affecting greater than two organ systems: skin, respiratory, gastrointestinal, cardiovascular. Hives, pruritus, wheezing, and hypotension after ingestion of a food allergen, likely sesame, and needs intramuscular epinephrine immediately. Epinephrine is a life-saving medication that prevents and reverses progression of anaphylaxis to anaphylactic shock and death. Its beta-2 agonist effect causes bronchodilation and decreases the systemic release of inflammatory mediators. Its alpha-1 agonist effect causes vasoconstriction, which raises blood pressure and decreases upper airway edema. Wrong answers. First, albuterol. It doesn't treat other symptoms of anaphylaxis, such as hypotension. Second, inhaled racemic epinephrine relieves upper airway obstruction and is used to treat croup. Third, diphenhydramine may be used as adjunctive therapy to relieve pruritus and hives. Fourth, intravenous magnesium is indicated for a severe persistent asthma exacerbation. And fifth, methylprednisone have a delayed onset of action and don't provide immediate action required in this emergency situation. Most cases of anaphylaxis are associated with skin or mucosal manifestations, including swelling of the lips or tongue, urticaria, pruritus, or flushing. The most common diagnostic criterion requires skin mucosa involvement associated with either cardiac or respiratory manifestations like hypotension, tachycardia, wheeze, sensation of throat closure, nasal discharge. Other common manifestations include gastrointestinal like abdominal pain and vomiting, neurologic, confusion, seizure, and ocular, conjunctival erythema and periorbital edema. Hereditary angioedema typically presents in late childhood or adolescence with an acute onset of cutaneous swelling. Patient has had recurrent episodes, often after emotional stress or trauma like dental procedure. The face, limbs, and genitalia are most commonly affected, and pruritus and urticaria are absent. Bowel wall edema can also occur and presents as colicky abdominal pain, vomiting, and diarrhea. Less commonly, progressive laryngeal edema can lead to life-threatening airway obstruction. Most episodes of angioedema self-resolve in 2 to 5 days. However, acute treatment, C1 inhibitor concentrate, is typically recommended to prevent airway involvement. In case of accidental or intentional ingestion of an ACE inhibitor, there is an isolated episode of cutaneous swelling. And in case of anaphylaxis, pruritus and urticaria are also expected. Vaccination. Vaccination can affect the strength of herd immunity. Currently, all states allow medical exemption from vaccination in case of allergy to vaccine components. If a child is unvaccinated and is not exempt, he or she may not be able to enroll in daycare or school, depending on the state. The physician must respect the mother's decision but is obligated to inform her about the health associated risks and benefits as well as the potential consequences like school enrollment. The discussion should be fully documented in the medical record. In cases of vaccination refusal, four things should be remembered. First, court mandated vaccinations could be appropriate in the case of disease outbreak. Second, court orders are generally reserved for cases in which parents refuse life-saving treatment for children. Third, immunizing the children without consent from the mother would be appropriate only if they were in imminent danger. And fourth, physician could ask what the father thinks of vaccination as part of the discussion, but not in attempt to undermine the mother's authority. Regarding the diphtheria, tetanus, acellular pertussis vaccine, the risk of an adverse reaction is low. It generally includes minor erythema or swelling at the injection site and or fever. Seizure triggered by fever or by the pertussis vaccine component is rare and is typically short, less than 5 minutes, and self-limited. Patients with a family history of febrile seizures or epilepsy may be at increased risk. Specifically, uncomplicated seizure following vaccine administration is not a contraindication to future vaccination, but DTaP vaccine is contraindicated in a few circumstances like anaphylaxis, unstable neurologic disorders like infantile spasms, uncontrolled epilepsy, and encephalopathy like coma, decreased level of consciousness, prolonged seizures within a week of DTaP vaccine administration. Post-exposure antibiotic prophylaxis is indicated for close contacts of anyone with pertussis within the last 21 days. All medically stable premature infants should receive routine immunization on the same schedule as full-term infants based on their chronologic age, means age since birth. Corrected age or age adjusted for gestation is considered when assessing a premature infant's growth and developmental milestones. The first hepatitis B vaccine is administered when the patient weighs greater than 2 kg, typically at birth. All other vaccines are administered based on chronologic age. The first dose of live measles, mumps and rubella and varicella vaccines is typically administered around age 1 year. You should revise all immunologic disorders from the first aid. Here I am gonna tell only important differential points for step 2 CK. I don't want to describe whole UL tables of different immunologic disorders. I only extract essential points from the explanation. First, failure to thrive means low percentile growth. In case of X-linked recessive disease, male family member history would be expected, and in case of autosomal dominant, parental history would be expected. Failure to thrive is seen in CGD, SCID, CVID, and HIV infection. THI, transient hypogammaglobulinemia of infancy, a normal physiologic nadir at age 3 to 6 months, but because IgG synthesis is delayed, physiologic nadir is prolonged beyond age 6 months. Recurrent infections and bacteremia, and some atopic disorders like asthma, eczema, food allergy. In some cases, there may be low IgA and IgM levels. THI is self-resolved by age 12 months. Selective IgA deficiency presents after transfusion of blood products like RBC, platelet, FFP because they all contain small amounts of IgA. Atopic and autoimmune disorders like SLE, celiac disease are common in case of selective IgA deficiency. SCID, severe combined immunodeficiency. It is lymphopenia due to defective T cell development leading to severe B cell dysfunction. Absence of T cell receptor excision circles in dried blood. It is the circular DNA excreted by developing T cell in the thymus. Live attenuated vaccines are contraindicated in SCID. Inactivated vaccines are not contraindicated, but they are not protective because no antibody response in case of SCID. While vaccine antibody response is normal in anatomic or functional asplenia and THI, transient hypogammaglobulinemia of infancy. CVID, common variable immunodeficiency. It's because of impaired differentiation of mature B cell into plasma cell. But there is normal concentration of CD19 positive B cell. CVID presents around puberty and in young adults 20 to 40 years of age. There is increased susceptibility to encapsulated organisms because antibody opsonization is required for their elimination. Asthma, bronchiectasis, autoimmune disorders and malignancy may be there. Recurrent diarrheal infections due to Salmonella, Campylobacter and Giardia. It's because of low IgA levels. Wiskott-Aldrich syndrome presents with eczema, post-circumcision bleeding or bleeding from umbilical stump due to microthrombocytopenia. CGD. CGD presents usually in less than 5-year-old child. There is decreased superoxide anion production and that leads to increased susceptibility to catalase positive organisms like S. aureus, Serratia, Aspergillus and Burkholderia. And is because of that there is pneumonia, empyema, skin and soft tissue abscesses and lymphadenitis may be there. Management includes prophylactic antimicrobials and immunomodulators like interferon gamma. HIV infection presents with recurrent infection, lymphadenopathy, hepatosplenomegaly, diarrhea and rash. Hyper IgE syndrome presents with recurrent skin abscesses due to S. aureus and some facial and bony abnormalities like broad nose and scoliosis. Cardiac Higashi syndrome presents with partial oculocutaneous albinism and increased susceptibility to S. aureus and S. pyogenes. Leukocyte adhesion deficiency presents with delayed umbilical cord separation, recurrent non-purulent skin infections, severe periodontitis, and there is marked neutrophilia or leukocytosis. It is a differential point for SCID because in SCID there is lymphopenia. XLA, X-linked agammaglobulinemia. It's because of impaired differentiation of marrow premature B cell into circulating CD19 positive B cell. So in flow cytometry there is decreased concentration of circulating mature CD19 positive B cell. Increased susceptibility to encapsulated sinopulmonary infections, enteroviral infections, gastrointestinal infections due to Campylobacter, Salmonella and Giardia. Small or absent tonsil or adenoids in children greater than 2 years of age. Cyclic bone marrow suppression. Cyclic bone marrow suppression leads to cyclic neutropenia and it's because of that there is cyclical patterns of fever and recurrent infections and may be associated oral lesion, aphthous ulcer. Terminal complement deficiency leads to failure of MAC formation. Some investigation for immunologic disorders. Fish, fluorescence in situ hybridization, for discharge, flow cytometry for XLA, CH50 assay to determine total complement concentration, and neutrophil function testing for CGD. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Albert Einstein. Thanks for listening. Stay awesome.